All right, so you're ready to take your golf game up a notch? Well, you've come to the right place. Today, we're doing a deep dive on something that might seem simple, but is the absolute foundation of a killer swing.
The grip.
That's right, the grip. And we've got a fantastic guide all about grip technique.
And to top it off,
We've got some wisdom straight from the legend himself.
Ben Hogan.
Yeah. Two-time U.S. Open champ, we're going to break down exactly how to hold that club so you can hit those shots you've been dreaming of.
It's fascinating, both our sources today really emphasize that the grip is so much more than just holding the club.
It's like the bedrock for consistency and control.
And power.
Yeah.
In every single shot.
Ben Hogan actually said it best. Good golf begins with a good grip.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, think about it. This guy was at the top of his game, winning championships left and right.
And he's still stressed how important those basics are.
Exactly. What does that tell you?
It tells you that no matter your skill level, whether you're a weekend warrior or aspiring pro, a solid grip one you can repeat every time. That's the key.
To unlocking your true potential out there on the course.
Yeah. It's that consistent foundation that lets you build a swing you can rely on time after time.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty, starting with the left hand. The guide talks about this V shape you create with your thumb and forefinger pointing towards your right shoulder.
Right, and that V is helpful visually, but what's more important is the feel. You want even pressure across your hand, not like a death grip.
Right.
Think of it like a firm handshake. Confident but comfortable.
I like that, a firm handshake, yeah. And the guide also mentions that your palm plays a crucial role here. It's almost like a built-in brace to stop the club from slipping.
Absolutely. Add stability to your grip.
Right, why is that stability so important?
That's what lets you maintain control throughout the swing.
Especially when you start generating power.
Exactly. You don't want the club face wobbling all over the place.
Absolutely not. Okay, so we've got the left hand. Now let's move over to the right hand.
Right?
The guide says the club should rest more on your fingers than your palm.
Right.
They actually compare it to
Holding a bird.
holding a bird. Secure, but you don't want to crush it.
Right. Delicate balance. And what I find really interesting here is they emphasize those right middle fingers.
Really?
They're like the control center of the grip.
Interesting.
Almost like a skilled craftsman, right? Delicately but firmly handling some precious tool.
I like that. So to complete the picture, the guide describes the right hand sort of wrapping over the left thumb,
Right.
creating this unified grip.
And, this is where I think Ben Hogan's insight is spot on. He talked about that feeling of the hands fitting together like pieces in a jigsaw puzzle.
Wow.
You want that sense of unity.
To allow both hands to work seamlessly through the swing.
Absolutely.
Speaking of Ben Hogan, he had this incredible story about a near-perfect shot he played at the 1950 U.S. Open.
Oh, I know that story.
He needed a 4 on the final hole to tie for the lead.
Talk about pressure.
Yeah, the pressure. And he nailed it.
Amazing.
He didn't attribute it to some, magical pressure-induced ability or anything like that.
Right.
He said he'd been practicing that exact shot since he was 12 years old.
And it just goes to show you, mastering those fundamentals like a solid grip, that's what allows you to deliver when it matters most.
Yeah. It's not about finding some secret trick at the last minute. It's about putting in the time to get those basics right.
Absolutely.
And Hogan even had specific advice for this.
He did.
He suggested practicing your grip for 5 to 10 minutes every single day.
Think about that. Even a legend like Ben Hogan made time for that basic but absolutely crucial element.
It's a great reminder that consistent effort, even in small doses, can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
But what about common mistakes people make with the grip? I know the guide specifically warned against gripping the club too tightly, but what's the harm in that?
Well, imagine trying to write smoothly, but you're squeezing your pen as hard as you can.
Right.
It's going to be cramped, awkward.
Yeah.
It's the same with the club. A death grip creates tension, restricts your swing, and you just lose power.
That makes a lot of sense. The guide also mentioned something called the finesse finger issue, overusing the right forefinger and thumb.
Right. And, the pros, they can sometimes use this for delicate shots.
Okay.
But for the average golfer, it usually causes more harm than good.
Got it.
Leads to inconsistencies. Makes it harder to control that club face.
Interesting. And to counteract that, Ben Hogan actually had this interesting drill, swinging with your right forefinger and thumb completely off the club.
Yeah, give that a try.
It sounds a bit odd.
It might feel strange at first, but it's amazing for feeling your hands work together as one.
Okay.
You start to understand how important those other fingers are.
Yeah. It's really interesting that both sources we're looking at today, even though they come from different perspectives, really emphasize that repetition and consistency are so important.
Yet all comes back to that grip. Every single time you address the ball, you want that same secure, comfortable feel in your hands. That consistent grip leads to a consistent swing.
Which ultimately is what takes strokes off your game.
Exactly. And, the guide even specifically mentioned how the grip needs to hold up under pressure.
Under pressure, but isn't that just for tournaments?
Not at all. Even a casual round with friends can get tense when you're trying to sink a putt. Having a good grip helps you stay calm, collected,
Yeah.
gives you a sense of control no matter what's happening.
So we've got the basic techniques down here. We looked at how the left and right hands work together to create that unified grip.
Right.
And we even learned some practical drills, thanks to Ben Hogan, to help improve our grip and avoid common mistakes.
That is-
But we're just getting started. When we come back, we're going to move beyond the basics and explore how different grip styles can shape your shots and give you more control out on the course. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. We've only just scratched the surface here.
Yeah, I'm already itching to get back out on the course and try all this stuff.
Hold on. We're about to tee up some even more interesting insights. We need to go beyond the mechanics. Think about how this grip impacts your whole game.
Okay, I'm ready. Level up my grip game.
A lot of golfers, they get caught up in this idea of finding the perfect grip. But here's the thing. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. It's about finding what works for you.
Right. I mean, everyone's hands are different, so it makes sense that their grips would be different too.
Exactly. And that's where understanding these different grip styles comes in. We talked about the fundamentals, but there are all sorts of variations, right? You got the strong grip, the
Okay.
weak grip, everything in between.
Okay, so break it down for me. What's the difference between a strong grip and a weak grip?
It all comes down to the position of your hands relative to the club face. So imagine you're looking down at your grip from above. With a strong grip, you're going to see more of your left-hand knuckles.
Okay.
Weak grip, you see fewer.
So strong grip hands are rotated more to the right,
You got it.
and a weak grip more to the left.
Exactly. And these different grip styles, they can influence the direction of your shot. A strong grip tends to produce a draw, where the ball curves right to left.
Okay.
A weak grip often leads to a fade. The ball curves left to right.
Wait, so the grip isn't just about holding the club, it's about shaping your shot.
It's a powerful tool for what we call ball flight.
Hmm.
And the best golfers in the world, they know how to adjust their grip to achieve different results.
So how do you figure out which grip style is right for you? Is it just trial and error?
Experimentation is key. Try out different grip variations and see what happens.
Okay.
Pay attention to that ball flight, right?
Right.
Does it curve too much? Not enough.
Yeah.
Finding that sweet spot, it takes some trial and error. But trust me, it's worth it.
I bet having a coach or someone experienced watch your swing would be super helpful.
Oh, absolutely. A trained eye can make a world of difference.
Yeah.
They can help you analyze your grip and see if it aligns with what you want to do.
So even though there's no perfect grip, there's definitely a best grip for each individual golfer.
That's right. And it's not just about finding that grip style. It's also about being able to do it consistently.
Yeah.
You want to replicate your grip every single time.
Yeah, because consistency is the foundation for a repeatable swing, which ultimately leads to better scores.
Lower scores.
Yeah.
More fun. And remember how Ben Hogan emphasized practice?
Mhm.
That applies here too. Don't just go through the motions. Be deliberate. Feel the pressure in those fingers. Make sure your hands are working as one unit.
It's like anything else, the more you practice, the more natural it becomes.
Absolutely.
The better you'll be when that pressure's on.
Right. Now let's talk about grip pressure. We touched on it earlier, but it's worth diving deeper. Too much pressure, too little pressure can really mess with your swing.
Yeah, I know I'm definitely guilty of gripping the club way too tight, especially when I'm nervous over a shot.
I know it's a natural reaction, but remember what we talk about. A death grip creates tension. It restricts your swing. You just rob yourself of power. It's like trying to hit a tennis ball with a clenched fist. You'll never generate that maximum force.
Right, right. So how do you find the balance? How do you know how tightly to grip the club?
Think of it this way. You want to hold the club firmly enough that it doesn't fly away, but gently enough that you don't hurt it.
Okay, I like that analogy. It definitely paints a picture.
So are there any signs your grip pressure might be off? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
One telltale sign is hand fatigue. If your hands are getting tired quickly, your forearms are getting tired quickly, it could be a sign you're gripping too tight.
Makes sense. You're using all sorts of extra muscle energy you don't need, so you tire yourself out quicker. What else should we be looking for?
Another sign is inconsistent ball striking. If your shots are kind of all over the map, it could be because your grip pressure is changing from swing to swing.
So basically, consistent grip pressure leads to more consistent ball striking, which means better accuracy.
Better accuracy, lower scores, and, on the flip side, if your grip is too loose, you're going to lose control. The club might even slip out of your hands.
Oh, that's no good. That's no good at all. Are there ways to tell if your grip isn't firm enough?
Well, one thing to look out for is what we call shanking the ball. That's when the club face hits the ball too far towards what we call the hosel, and it just sends the ball veering sharply to the right.
Yeah, I've hit a few shanks. They're not pretty.
Not pretty at all. Another sign of a loose grip is inconsistent club face control.
Okay.
That club face might be open, might be closed at impact, and you just get these unpredictable shots.
So finding that sweet spot for grip pressure is crucial. It's that balance between control and relaxation.
Exactly. Here's a helpful tip. After you hit a shot, look at your hands. Any indentations from the grip? If so, you might be gripping a little too tightly.
That's a really simple check. I like that.
Easy, right?
Yeah.
But also, remember, everyone's ideal grip pressure is a little bit different. It depends on things like your hand size,
Your strength.
your strength, weather conditions even. So again, it's about experimenting, finding what feels good for you, what produces those consistent results.
Yeah, and as you get more experience, you develop a better feel for what works.
Absolutely. And
Right.
that grip pressure might even change a little bit depending on the shot you're trying to hit.
Wait, so we were talking about grip pressure. What does that have to do with changing your grip from shot to shot?
It's a great question, and it highlights something really important. Grip pressure isn't just about how tightly you're holding the club. It's also about where you're applying that pressure.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. Tell me more.
Remember those right middle fingers?
Mm-hmm.
The control center. They play a key role in regulating pressure too.
So it's not about just squeezing the club with your whole hand. It's about applying pressure with those fingers.
Precisely. Think of them as like the control center. They give you the stability and feedback you need to make consistent contact.
It's almost like those fingers are like the steering wheel for your swing.
I like that.
Yeah.
And remember Ben Hogan's drill. Swinging with that right forefinger and thumb off the club, that can really help you develop a feel for engaging those middle fingers and creating a more unified grip.
Wow. You know, I'm realizing that a small adjustment in grip pressure can have such a big impact.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
It really shows how crucial the grip is. It's the foundation. Everything else builds on it. And understanding the nuances of pressure can really take your game to the next level.
So we've talked about these different grip styles. We've talked about how to find the right pressure for you. What else is there?
Well, there's one more element of the grip we need to discuss before we move on, and that's the role of the wrists.
Okay, this is getting really interesting. I never really thought about my wrists when it comes to the grip.
You see, a lot of golfers, they think of the grip as purely a hand motion. But the wrists, they play a critical role, generating power and control.
So it's not just about gripping the club with your fingers, it's about engaging your wrists too.
Exactly. Think of your wrists like hinges. They allow you to create leverage and speed. And how you position and move those wrists during the swing can be influenced by, you guessed it, your grip.
So how exactly does the grip affect wrist action? Let's break that down.
Let's start with the takeaway. As you begin your backswing, your wrists should start to hinge.
Okay.
This lets the club move up and away from the ball, creating a wider arc.
And I imagine a good grip helps make that wrist hinge smoother and more effortless.
You got it. A secure, comfortable grip allows your wrists to move freely, like well-oiled hinges, smooth and effortless.
Now, what about at the top of the backswing? What's going on with the wrists there?
At the top, your wrist should be fully hinged. This creates maximum potential energy.
So a good grip sets the stage for a powerful downswing.
That's the idea. And as you transition from backswing to downswing, those wrists start to unhinge, releasing that stored energy.
Creating club head speed.
And of course, the grip influences how that energy is released, which then affects the timing and the impact of the shot.
Right.
It's all connected. A consistent grip helps ensure a smooth and powerful release. It's almost like a dance, your hands, your wrists, and the club all working together.
Okay, so last step, what's happening with the wrists at impact?
Ideally, at impact, your wrists should be in what we call a neutral position, neither bowed nor cupped.
Okay.
This allows for a square club face and a clean strike.
And I imagine that a good grip helps you maintain that neutral wrist position through impact, right?
Absolutely, preventing any unwanted deviations. A solid grip That's what provides the stability, the control, to deliver that club face squarely to the ball.
So the grip isn't just about holding the club, it's about influencing wrist action throughout the entire swing.
That's a great way to put it.
Right.
Mastering that connection between grip and wrists is so important for consistency and power.
This is all incredibly insightful, but it also sounds really complex. Are there any drills that can help improve wrist action?
Absolutely. One really effective drill is practicing hitting shots with just your right hand.
Just your right hand. Okay.
This forces you to engage those wrists. Develop a feel for how they work in the swing.
That sounds like a challenge, but also super beneficial. Really isolates the wrists.
Another helpful drill is using a weighted club, or even something like a heavy medicine ball. Swinging these heavier objects can help build that wrist strength and flexibility.
It's like weight training, but for your wrists.
Exactly. Now, keep in mind, everyone's wrist flexibility strength, it's different. So start slow. Gradually increase the weight or resistance as you get stronger.
And I imagine working with a coach or a trainer could be helpful too, to make sure you're using the right technique.
Absolutely. A trained professional can tailor those exercises to your needs and help you avoid injuries.
Okay, so we've covered a lot here. Different grip styles, importance of finding the right pressure, and the role of the wrists. It's amazing how much goes into something that at first seems so simple.
It really is all about the details. And the key takeaway here is the grip is so much more than just a static position. It's a dynamic element that influences your entire swing.
It's the foundation for a powerful and consistent golf game.
Now let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll dive into some specific tips for troubleshooting those grip issues and explore some more advanced concepts that can take your grip game to a whole new level. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We are really getting a grip on this whole golf grip thing, aren't we?
We're not just skimming the surface. We've explored grip styles, dug deep into wrist action, and now
Now what?
we're going to tackle those frustrating grip issues.
Yeah, those things that pop up.
And some more advanced concepts to really fine-tune your game.
Here we're going from grip rookies to grip masters.
That's the goal, giving you the knowledge to elevate your golf game.
So let's tackle some common problems head on. Even seasoned golfers, right? They run into these from time to time.
Okay, so let's say you're struggling with a slice that shot that curves way too much from left to right. What kind of grip adjustments can help?
So a slice, that often comes from what we call an open club face at impact. That means the club face is pointing to the right of your target.
And one common culprit is a weak grip.
Right.
Remember how we talked about weak grips tending to produce a fade?
Yeah.
Well, that's because a weak grip makes it harder to square the club face at impact. That's what sends that ball flying straight.
So if you're slicing the ball, maybe experiment with a slightly stronger grip?
Exactly. Rotate your hands a bit more to the right. See if it helps close that face and straighten out your shots.
Okay.
And on the flip side, if you're fighting a hook, that shot that curves sharply from right to left,
Yeah.
a strong grip might be the issue.
Right, because a strong grip encourages that closed club face, which sends the ball veering off to the left.
Exactly. So if you're hooking it, try weakening the grip a bit.
Okay.
Rotate those hands more to the left and see if that helps neutralize the club face and bring those shots back.
It's amazing how just a little grip change can have such a big impact.
It all comes down to that relationship between your grip and club face.
Yeah.
And speaking of club face control, let's talk about another problem, inconsistent ball striking. We've all been there.
Frustrating rounds where you just can't seem to hit the sweet spot.
Inconsistent ball striking can come from a bunch of different factors, but a sneaky culprit, often an inconsistent grip. If that grip pressure or your hand position changes from swing to swing, it throws off your timing.
Makes it hard to square the club face at impact.
Exactly. So it's not just about finding the right grip, it's about being able to replicate it every time.
Consistency is key.
Consistency is key. And this is where a good pre-shot routine can be super helpful. Take a moment. Consciously set your grip before each shot.
It's like having a checklist in your head, right?
Exactly. Grip pressure,
Hand position.
alignment, everything locked in before you even start. And speaking of alignment, that's another area where grip problems can show up.
Okay.
If your grip doesn't line up with your body and your target, it can lead to all sorts of swing flaws, inconsistent shots.
So it's not just about how your hands are on the club, it's how they relate to your whole setup.
Right, and this is where understanding those grip fundamentals, like that V position we talked about and the unified grip, those elements promote proper alignment, a more consistent swing overall.
It's like building a house. If that foundation is crooked, the whole structure is off.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, so now Let's move beyond the basics a bit, explore some more advanced concepts.
All right, I'm ready.
Once you have the fundamentals down, there are ways to really optimize your game. One concept that's often talked about is grip size. And it's not just about finding something that feels comfortable in your hand. It's about understanding how grip size can actually impact your swing.
Yeah, I never really thought about that. So how does grip size come into play?
A grip that's too small can make it hard to control that club face. Might even feel like the club is twisting in your hands. Leads to those inconsistent shots.
And what about a grip that's too big?
That can restrict your wrist movement, and that's going to rob you of power.
Makes it harder to square the club face.
Exactly. So again, finding the right grip size is about finding that sweet spot. Not too small, not too large, but just right.
Just right. Goldilocks right there.
There you go. And there are a few ways to figure out your grip size. You can measure your hand.
Right?
You can check out some grip sizing charts online.
Okay.
And of course, a good club fitter, they can analyze your swing, make some recommendations.
Yeah.
And not just size, but also material. You've got leather, synthetic materials, all sorts of things. Another advanced concept that we should talk about is grip taper.
Taper.
That refers to how the grip's thickness changes from top to bottom.
Okay, so how does grip taper affect things?
A grip with a more noticeable taper, meaning it's thicker at the top and thinner at the bottom, that can actually promote a stronger grip
Okay.
and a more closed club face at impact.
So if you're struggling with a slice, a taper grip might help you square up the club face.
Right. And then a grip with less taper can encourage a weaker grip, a more open club face, which could be helpful for those who tend to hook the ball.
It's another way to fine-tune that ball flight. Get those specific shots you want.
Exactly. But it's important to remember, these advanced concepts are best explored with the help of an instructor or a club fitter. They can help you decide if these adjustments are right for you.
It's like having your personal grip consultant.
That's it, guiding you toward that full potential. The key takeaway here is the golf grip. It's a journey. It's constant learning. There's always something new to discover and new ways to improve.
Whether you're just starting out or you've been playing for years, don't underestimate the power of a good grip
It truly is the foundation.
for a solid, consistent, enjoyable golf game.
So keep experimenting, keep practicing,
And most importantly,
keep having fun.
out there on the course. Who knows? Maybe some amazing breakthroughs are waiting for you.
Absolutely. And as you continue that grip journey, think about this. How does your grip change depending on the kind of shot you're trying to hit? Does that pressure adjust when the pressure's on? The more you understand the nuances of your grip, the better you'll be able to control your game.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground, but we've only just scratched the surface of this fascinating world.
So keep exploring, keep learning,
And as always,
keep swinging.